We entered the cafeteria, a bustling room filled with the aromas of different kinds of food. As we got in line, we ordered our meals and chatted freely.
Cajun fries and the spicy chicken burger for me. That's my definition of a good meal.
That actually does sound kind of good, but I can't handle spicy food, so sadly.
I'll take a tuna sandwich and some juice. You're probably going to need water or something to curb all that spicy flavor, Suzu.
I don't like fish.
I can't be tamed by the likes of that. If it's spicy, then it's gotta be all or nothing.
You're crazy!
Hell yeah, I'm crazy.
I think I'm getting a migraine.
I think I'll go with mac and cheese and a soda. That sounds good. Once we got our food, we settled down at one of the empty tables, putting our backpack aside to finally dig into the food. Susie leaned back in her chair, tilting it back so that she could rest her feet on the table by her food.
All right then. Is there anything we want to talk about?
Bored already?
I know. Let's talk about...
Say boys, and I will never speak to you ever again.
Aw, why not?
What's so interesting about talking about guys? It's not like any of us are gonna get boyfriends anytime soon.
Oh, that hurts.
We don't know that. What if one of us does get a boyfriend?
Like that's going to happen, Naomi. Look at us. I'm a tiny Italian. You're a ditzy blonde.
Hey!
She
No
doesn't seem very
offense.
ditzy.
And Anderson here. Well, I guess she could land a boyfriend or girlfriend if she wants.
Or girlfriend?
She could be a lesbian if she wants.
True.
That's okay, Susie. I'm not sure I want a boyfriend yet.
Why not? It's our senior year. Might as well get a boyfriend.
That is horrible logic.
Maybe she's just not interested in a relationship, Suzu.
Well, it really wasn't about wanting a relationship, but more of there was no one interesting enough to be in a relationship with. Don't get me wrong, I'm an open person, but there are not many interesting guys in the school to go out with. I don't know, does that sound a little cocky to you? I think it does. Or actually, high standards? Probably. Who knows? Time will tell. Naomi looked at me, wanting to continue the conversation. However, before she could speak, the speakers in the cafe started up and an announcement echoed throughout the cafeteria. Oops, didn't want to do that.
Miss Anderson, please come to the main office immediately. Please bring your things with you.
Oh my.
What did I do?
Looks like our plans have been cut short. The men in white coats have finally come to get you.
Suzu, don't joke around. What if it's serious?
Fine. If something happens, just call us.
Funny enough, something did happen. And it certainly was no laughing matter. Cold. It was really cold. The rain became heavier that afternoon, accompanied by the rolling thunder now and then. The skies had turned dark, though I couldn't see any of it under the black umbrella. Not that I was looking up. In fact, looking up was the exact opposite of what I wanted to do. I stared at the grass beneath me and unable to look at the people weeping around me. All I could see was the damp grass underneath my feet. Only the monotone eulogies that floated through my ears reminded me that I was at a funeral. It was only when the speeches ended that I finally was able to raise my head. A small gathering of people, mostly made of relatives, and I didn't even know were related to me, were huddled around a simple small grave. For a while, all I heard was the sound of raindrops on umbrellas. If it weren't raining, everything would probably be in a heavy silence. I looked beside me where my father was standing and holding up a large black umbrella for our small family of 3. His face was emotionless, a strange sight next to my weeping mother. I wondered what was going through his mind. After all, etched in the smooth gray tombstone before was his father's name. My grandfather, the one who raised me like his own daughter, had passed away that day. The ceremony was small, only close family were allowed to come. Slowly, though, people began to leave, leaving my father, mother, and me behind at the grave. A man dressed in a clean black suit under the uniform black umbrella of the funeral attendees walked towards us, introducing himself as grandfather's lawyer. He pulled out a few documents from his suitcase and began to read aloud its contents.
And now, I shall read Harold Anderson's last will and testament.
Only my parents and I were allowed to be present for my grandfather's will. It was under the strict request of his lawyer, and there was a reason why.
And to my dearest granddaughter, I give my estate. All the furniture and decor that resides within the house shall also be given to my granddaughter.
Nice to get a house. But also sad because Grandpa died. What? I couldn't believe my ears. I had earned the family estate at 18? That was impossible, and yet it was written in my own grandfather's hand.
He passed the family estate to her. Am I not surprised?
This is kind of awkward, especially with Dad.
Dear.
Did he say anything about what will become of the CEO and chairman position of the Anderson Toys Company?
No. It is presumed that the vice chairman will succeed the position.
Even to the bitter end, he wouldn't give in. What a stubborn old man.
So, their relationship isn't really that good. It's kind of sad. I don't know. Shaking his head, my father turned to face my mother with a serious expression on his face.
About the estate. Should we send her there to get used to the building? It'll be a good place for her to live after high school.
You're getting rid of me?
Are you sure we should?
Why not? This would be a good experience for her.
Honey, what do you think?
I really wasn't sure what to say. Why did my father think that I was the appropriate heir to the mansion? Was I even ready to live on my own?
Well, that seems to be it. We'll be taking our leave now. I'm sure the little heiress needs some time to adjust.
What? Seriously, this is horrible.
David.
Even though she raised her voice, my dad wordlessly began walking back to the car, disinterested.
Don't mind him, honey. I think that your grandfather's passing really affected him. Why don't we get back home for now?
Very negatively, as I see. No, seriously, like, so much animosity. You can go on ahead in the car, Mom. I think I need some time alone with Grandpa.
Oh, of course. Take all the time you need.
She quickly gave me a hug and hurried after my dad. I looked around the funeral grounds, which was completely empty, save for the someone-looking grave that was laid out in front of me. I'm sure that if Grandpa were in charge of arranging all of this, it would have been much different. It was blatantly obvious that my dad was in charge of the whole event. Who else would bury their own family the same day they pass away? Everyone knew my grandfather's love for toys, and yet the grave was a mere stone slab on the ground, void of any children's toys. My dad didn't even bother putting flowers. His disdain for my grandfather was almost pitiful. Sorry, Grandpa. I tried to force out some words, but the only thing that came was a choked sob. You told me to stay strong, but right now, I'm the farthest from it, like that one time a long time ago. Grandpa!
Oh, it's so good to see you again, sweetie.
I was swept in a giant bear hug, and we both laughed as he swung me around like an airplane. It was one of my favorite things about seeing my grandfather. The way he greeted me, unlike my father, my grandfather was loving and playful, even as I grew older. Sorry that Daddy couldn't be here today. He said that he wasn't feeling too good again. It had always been like that. Dad missed every visit to Grandpa's house, citing that he was busy with work or wasn't feeling well.
Is that so? Well, that's okay. Daddy can come around next time. And you're here, right?
Yeah. So what are we doing today, Grandpa? Mommy says there's a new dessert cafe open in town. Maybe we can go?
Oh, I would love to. But I've been so busy with the company these days. We're actually working on a little something. Would you like to see?
Yes. Oh, is it a new toy?
It is. I was designing a new line of them. But I feel like something's missing. You don't think you could help me out, could you?
Of course. He placed the toy in my hands with a smile, and I inspected it carefully. It was beautifully crafted, and obviously a lot of work was put into it. There was one thing, though.
So, what do you think?
I think the heart on his chest should light up when you hug it. It'll be like it's alive, and it can be like a little nightlight before you sleep. He stroked his chin, considering my input while nodding his head. After a few moments of silent deliberation, he turned to me with a chuckle.
That's a great idea. I'll get to changing it right away. You're always like my little lucky charm, dear. You always know what to add to make the perfect toy.
Well, I hope I can be like you one day, Grandpa.
You want to make toys as well?
Well, making people happy is the best feeling in the world. I don't know if I want to make toys when I grow up, though.
Don't worry too much about it. You have plenty of time to decide. Besides, you should do what makes you happy as well.
That makes sense. Daddy doesn't think of it the same way, though.
Your father. I'm sure he just wants the best for you.
I'm not so sure about that.
Sweetie, look at me.
He bent down to look at me eye level with a serious look on his face.
As much as your father may say something that doesn't make sense now, you must remember that he's always thinking about you. He loves you. There's no doubt about that. And you need to love him just as equally.
I don't know about that. I don't hate Daddy. I really do love him. I don't know why he's like that, though.
Your father and I have had some difficulties with each other in the past. But it's nothing that you should be concerned about.
I still wonder what it is. I had heard tidbits of this from my mother and various other people. The only people who had stayed quiet were my father and grandfather. Both of them refrained from saying a word on the subject matter, but it was clear that whatever happened set a wall between them. It's hard, though, try to pretend as if nothing were wrong.
However, no matter what, you have to stay strong. You're a big girl already, and, well, there'll come a day when it seems like it's you against the world. But always remember that your family and friends will be here with you. Daddy, Mommy, your friends at school, me, we'll stand together to get through it.
How can you be so sure of that?
Because we'll be right here and here.
He pointed his finger to my head first and then pointed at my chest.
So stay strong, promise?
For a moment, he looked almost sad, pleading, but as quickly as it had come, the expression disappeared from his face, and he was all smiles once again. Promise. Upon hearing that, Grandpa let out a great burst of laughter and stood up.
All right then, enough of that. How about I whip up some special homemade dessert? I know I can't accompany you at that new cafe, but we sure can talk and eat while I cook and do some paperwork.
Homemade dessert? I'll race you to the kitchen!
Hey, slow down there. I'm not what I used to be.